Welcome back for round 2 of RM Fantasy MXperts. You are joined by myself, Chase.
I'm Charles.
And this is brought to you by RockyMountainATVMC.com. Y'all know the deal. Free shipping over $75. We have the largest selection of parts, apparel, and accessories, OEM aftermarket you need for dirt bikes, ATVs, and UTVs.
So go check us out. And while you're there, if you're not already signed up for Fantasy MX, make sure you do that. There's going to be a tab in the top of the bar right there. Just click on it. Super easy to sign up. And we're playing for prizes.
That's right. Now, thank you again very much for joining us. And big shout out to all the sponsors that are making fantasy possible. We do the weekly prize, which we're going to cover. We have the grand prizes. So we just want to say thank you so much to everybody who participates. So support the brands that support fantasy. So make sure to check them all out. All right. With that being said, we're getting into it. Round 2, we're coming up to Hangtown here. We got a lot to talk about. But before we get there, let's just get it up here, Nick. Let's talk about our weekly prizes.
First place for the weekly prizes, we've got a Troy Lee helmet. This is an SE4. Second place, Fast Company Flex bars. We've got some Fastway pegs, Rhino Power products. We've got a Cherubies $250 spending spree, $200 MSR casual spending spree, the Cycra full armor skid plate, Scott goggles, Torque 1 control package, and a Tusk helmet lighting kit.
I like that. So those are the weekly prizes. And shout out, comment in the live chat. Did you win a weekly prize? We had a lot of perfect scores. We're going to get to player stats here in just a moment, but those are the weekly prizes. Now, let's talk about grand prizes. Nick, get those up on the screen for us, please. Here they are. Gas EX300, fully decked out. We have that right here in our stable, Charles. We see it every day when we walk into the office. That's for first place. Second place, you get a Fantic XTF 1.5 carbon e-bike. And then third place, you got Ticket to Ride, come down to Whitewash, down Green River, Utah. Fourth place, MSR spending spree. Then you've got a Tusk tire and wheel hookup, Rocky Mountain spending spree. Recluse is going to give away a clutch to the winner, and their choice of what clutch they want. We have Alpine Star spending package as well. Attack Graph is hooking it all up, and then of course Tusk tool spending spree also, which probably be one of my favorite things. Yeah, we have a lot of prizes to give away.
Yeah,
90 weekly.
Yeah, 90 yeah. Or 100.
Or 100, sorry. We do the 10 weekly and then 90 Rocky Mountain gift cards.
A lot of prizes. A lot of odds to win.
All right.
I love it.
Hey, look, I got to give credit where credit is due. And, Charles, I mean, you picked Jett to win. And, I wasn't saying you were crazy.
Right.
But I for sure thought there's no, the odds of him coming out and going 1-1 or just winning the overall when Chase has, all of last year under his belt. He's the more experienced guy. I am just surprised. And shout out to Charles because this man outscored me this week in fantasy. What did you get?
115.
115. I think I got 71.
That's still great. 71 points is great, but
It's
115 is better.
So anyway, I just got to give a shout out to Charles and credit where credit is due. He beat me this week.
Yeah, ended up missing one. I think I did AC in 5th. I missed that.
But even still, and you were quick to the gun to let me know you scored good, too, because Charles texted me almost immediately after the motos to say, booyah, and then just had his moto score. So
I was so pumped.
All right. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's get into player stats. So, look, average score was 59, which, I feel good. I scored more than average. But there was 126 perfect scores, which, let's be honest, probably a little predictable considering you only have so many guys that are going to be solid top 5 picks.
Yeah.
Were you surprised, though, because I was, that Webb beat AC? AC, granted, went down in the first turn of that second moto, but did you expect him to beat Webb for the overall?
I did. And, I'm surprised Webb did as well as he did.
Yeah.
Just because he's been off the bike, and like he said, his fitness isn't where he wants it or where it's going to be in a few races. So I think he did really good.
Yeah, and we have some interesting stats. We'll talk about like average laps times, fastest lap times, and stuff like that when we get to the riders. But I guess I just expected a little bit more out of AC, and we'll talk about that. But shout out to people who got perfect scores. we helped with Freddie Norm. We talked about him as a wild card. I got Freddie correct as well. Let's see here. 2% got at least 5 picks correct. 9% had 4 picks. 28% had at least 3 picks correct. 51 got 2, and then 75% got 1. Let's see here. Over 20% of players had the correct top 5, just not in the correct order, which that was me.
Yeah.
And then 50% had Sexton win. 90% had, or almost 100% had him on the podium. And here you are, Charles. 42.5% had Jett to win. I had him in second. No, I had him in third. I had Ferrand second.
Well,
So, yeah.
yeah, I'm happy about that. I know when we did the show on Thursday, I think it was 80% thought Sexton was going to win at that time. But
Well,
maybe
after
watching qualifying.
What was Jett? Was what, 2 seconds a lap faster in that, like right at the very end?
And Sexton went down in practice, right?
Yeah, he went down hard too. It wasn't just like a light crash. So he did an interview and he talked about it. He said, had a hard time, kind of just wasn't gelling, just didn't feel that great. And then you have that practice crash, which probably just instantly starts making you think, championship, I can't do that again. And that track was treacherous. Holy crap. Let's see here. 26% had Plessinger in fourth, which is where I had him. 27% had him in the fifth. Webb was picked in fifth by only 14%. A lot of people had him in third, even knowing that his fitness wasn't going to be that great. That was kind of surprising to me.
Same.
And then AC was picked in the top 5 by 64%. So more than Ferrandis got picked in the top 5. And we'll talk about that. Wildcard, Noren, 22% of the vote. Chiz had 10. Harlan, 5. And this week's going to be tough. It's 8th for the wildcard.
Yeah.
Stats are going to be key. I'd like to know who's everyone thinking about right now for the wildcard. We have some good stats to help you out. We're going to get that. Also, dude, Trey Canard. He's calling in. Trey Canard. If Christian were here right now, he would just be a kid in the candy shop.
I'm probably fanboying just as much.
Are you fanboying just as much? All right. Trey is hands down one of the nicest guys. I've met him several times. Played golf with him in Oregon, actually, at the Honda intro. And he is spectacular. All right, let's get in. Let's talk about some highlights, Charles. Yeah, so one stood out. Just 250. There wasn't that many standout things that happened. There were some crashes, but nothing crazy. But Sexton went down. I forgot to get that one in here. I'm an idiot. But Shimoda went down, which we saw. Yeah, other than that, just not a whole lot to talk about. This was interesting.
Yep. Shimoda, Hampshire went down, I think, 3 different times between the motos.
And Moto 2, Hampshire went down twice in the first lap, and that's really what cost him. I don't know if he would have still got the overall, but he still, I think it went 110 for third overall. So he would have got at least second overall.
Yep.
But it was good to see him riding good.
Yeah. Lots of effort.
Yeah. Right here.
So,
I think this is where Chris Kiefer went down, too. Yeah, it's right here. He just cross-ruts. I think Kiefer came in here, did the same thing, went to seat bounce, but unfortunately, Kiefer landed on that water truck lane on his back. So,
yeah, looking real soft. The other thing I noticed was with Shimoda, he went all the way outside when Hunter came up in on him. I'm surprised he just gave it away. But
look at this. Carbon Gamer, call me crazy, but I've got Jett in 8th for the wild card. All it takes is one bad moto, just like Hampshire. You're right, it's one bad moto, but you have to remember the field is not very deep. Like outside of the top 6, I think once you got past AC, there's a pretty good gap to the guys that were back there. So it's going to be hard for Jett or Chase, even with a 4th or 5th finish in one of their motos, to not still find yourself in the top 3. That's just how I feel. Like it'd have to be like catastrophic bike failure or just a bad crash and you finish well outside the top 10.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Thank you, Dylan. That's what I'm saying. Any one of these riders goes down, they can probably get back pretty easily if it's early in the moto. All right, Charles, let's get into it here. We're going into Hangtown. Did you watch any replays from last year? Check out the track a little bit. Anybody in the live chat, are you going to be at Hangtown? I wish I could be there.
I watched the replays, but I don't have anything that stands out at this time. I'm just stuck on the whole Jett and Chase Sexton battle. what's going to happen.
I read Jason Thomas. He did a little kind of what's going to happen at his predictions for Hangtown, and was kind of reading on that. And he talked about how the track, similar to Fox Raceway, square edgy, and he felt that a lot of the passing, a lot of time made up is going to be on some of the downhills, or if the guys are willing to hang it out a little bit more, charging some of the downhills. I don't know. It's a different track for sure. I don't know. But I think it's going to race very close and similar to what they just did. So I expect a very similar outcome as what we just got. Are you going to still pick Jett to win?
I'm actually not.
No? What
No,
are you going to do?
I think I don't want to say Chase underestimated Jett, but maybe he was on a high from his championship and maybe not in it quite as much as he could have been. And I think he just got woken up by Jett last weekend, and I think he's going to come back with some fire. And, you know, he went 2-2 last year.
To Tomac.
To Tomac. And I know Jett went 3-1 for the overall in 250s, right? So Jett obviously is good at the track as well.
Yeah.
But I think Chase is going to have that fire, and this might have just been me thinking this, but I swear Chase was catching Jett on like some downhills, things like that.
He caught him in some places, but then he'd lose it in others.
Yeah, and then Jett would pull back out.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how mad was Chase that Jett qualified fastest, whole shot at both motos, and then went 1-1? Like, if you're Chase Sexton, I get it's the season opener, but you've got to just be pretty mad that, like, I didn't want the hype to be all about Jett, and I didn't want him to come in here and think he's the guy to beat, but that's what happened.
Scale of 1 to 10, he's 10. He's mad.
Oh, yeah.
Got the hater blockers on, the shades.
Oh, yeah, and now Jett knows, like, I can keep you behind me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, and here's my case for Chase Sexton pulling the win.
Swiss boys put a 10. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, so Chase, he goes down in practice, and then he doesn't get not saying he didn't get a good start, but, you know, he didn't get the whole shot like Jett, Moto 1.
Yeah.
Jett beats him. Then in Moto 2, Chase does even better, and, you know, that's why I think he's going to have more fire for this weekend. And
oh, I agree. I'm just saying.
Anyway.
They haven't ridden together because they train at different spots, too. So I feel like Jett went into thinking, I don't know how I'm going to stack up to Chase, but I'm going to just ride my race. And, dude, and Jett, what's the most frustrating thing about Jett is he doesn't look like he's trying very hard when he's riding.
It was smooth.
It just bugs me as a rider seeing that. I'm like, he doesn't look like he's trying, and this guy is the fastest man on the track.
Yep.
All right. Chase was too worried about flexing in them new Oakleys, says Big Chill. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Chase Sexton here. He needs some redemption. I really do feel like, yeah, it's early in the championship, but I really do feel like Chase needs to establish he can't let Jett go 1-1 again.
No.
Absolutely not. He's got to, even if he just split the motos with Jett this weekend, he needs to come out, he needs to be better, and he needs to win this weekend. Because it's going to be, for these guys, it's going to be grueling, and I really feel like it could just be the first guy to make that big mistake.
Yeah.
That gives up 10 points in an overall for the weekend, and then that's all it takes.
Because they're pushing it. You saw it was towards the end of Moto 2. Chase was putting the pressure, actually towards the middle. Chase was putting the pressure on Jett, and then he got his foot caught in that rut, and then, like, the next jump, he kind of landed sideways.
Yeah.
And, I kind of wonder if the pressure is going to get to Jett or.
No, I think he's good, man. I think Jett's fine. I think the pressure's on Chase.
Sure.
Let's talk about this, though. So, Sexton did have the fastest lap in Moto 2. I don't think anyone will argue that Chase was faster than Jett in most places on the track, but it's all about who wins. So he went 2-2 in Hangtown. Jett did. Sexton went 2-2 last year in Hangtown, so he is good there. And you just have to remember, too, that he only finished worse than second twice all last year. So, yeah, I don't know. And then you get to Jett Lawrence.
Hey, guys, actually,
what's up?
You have on the phone.
We have the
Trey
legend.
Canard.
Oh, my gosh.
Another Honda guy.
Get him on here. Well, look, man, he is one of the fastest guy, one of the fastest guys to ever ride a dirt bike. His form is impeccable, and to boot, he's probably the nicest guy and the best goon rider you've ever seen, Mr. Trey Canard. Trey, how we doing? Is that a mustache?
Yeah, man, check it out.
Dude, welcome to the club.
Nice.
I've never seen one of those before. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of clear like my eyebrows, so you got to get it in the right light.
You got to get
sometimes.
the sun reflection on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it just for men to kind of get it in there real nice, but
I
It'll
can
do
see you
for
with some,
now.
with some good handlebars coming down too.
I don't connect, so that might be hard.
Ugh. How you doing, man? Are you in Oklahoma right now? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm at home this week. With all the riders there in Southern California, having me be there as another rider to take care of is a lot. So I'm here this week and just going on the weekends. So yeah.
Okay. So were you at Fox Raceway though? Were you there that weekend?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I was there.
Were you look, we all knew Jett was going to be good, but 2 seconds faster than Chase in qualifying, which probably threw Chase through a loop. And Chase did have that crash, so I'm sure he was just off from that a little bit. And you can relate, if you have a bad crash in the first qualifier of outdoors, you're probably just thinking, great, this is a nice start to my day. But Jett goes fastest in qualifying, whole shots both motos, goes 1-1. Was that surprising to you?
No, I mean, after Motocross of Nations was kind of like the prequel to it all. Like the way that he rides the bike is, he's not overly aggressive. He's not a rider that's makes bad decisions as far as the throttle. Like
Right.
he's very calm, collected, and so I think just that lends itself to the 450, and he rides that bike in like the kind of the perfect power range. He's playful with it and doesn't get overexcited, and I think that lends to kind of what you saw. And I saw him ride a few weeks ago, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's ready to go. So he's probably been at it for about 6 weeks. I'd say with his prep. So I know he came in really ready. I think Chase was a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as the Supercross championship. It's hard to focus on the next championship when that's in your mind, because he was, even before Tomac got hurt, there was still a chance, and in your own mind, you have to take that opportunity because they're difficult to come. So
Yeah.
so I think Chase was a little behind the 8 ball, but man, just watching that second moto was incredible. I mean, those guys were
Less than 2
making it look
seconds.
easy and going like 5-6 seconds a lot faster than the other guys, and that's crazy.
Right. No, you could tell last year when it was Sexton and Tomac, like you could see how hard they were pressing, and that's why there were gap in the field. But this last weekend, it was, I think Jett, that's why he was riding so good, as you alluded to, easy on the throttle, jumping, braking bumps, and he looked like he wasn't trying, but that's what allowed him to go fast. And I think Chase kind of caught on to that a little bit. I think Chase probably was trying to override, I feel like, maybe a little bit in the early stages, but then kind of let the flow come to him. Have you raced there at Fox? You've raced there, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, so that's where I wrapped up my championship in 2010.
Okay.
And that was the first year for it there. But yeah, no, I think we made some changes to Chase's bike in the second moto, which really helped him.
Full shock change, right?
What's that?
Didn't he do a full shock swap in the second moto?
Yeah, they did. They made a valving change, which
Okay.
is valving and a spring change, which is sometimes big. But I think what I liked about where his head was is he was okay with that. He's kind of looking at the longer picture here, but I don't know. I asked Jett after the second moto. I said, "Man, did you have more in the tank there?" Because watching both those guys, it kind of looked like they were just cruising. And I think just the track lended itself to that type of racing. That if you tried harder, you actually kind of went slower, made more mistakes. So they were riding that fine edge, though, man. It was really impressive.
Was Chase on the same setup he was on last year at Fox for that first moto and then went away from that?
We made some changes in that 2 weeks from last year. There was some pretty big complaints at the end of the season last year that we tried to address, and I still feel like we're probably in a little better place. So pretty minor tweaks though, like we had the option to kind of run some of the frame patches and things we were doing in Supercross, and he chose to kind of stay close to where he was last year. Um, so minor changes, like nothing that's kind of flipping the whole script upside down, but it was different from last year.
Okay, interesting. I look at that, I'm like, well, if he was so good last year, but yet there's still improvement, but it's just crazy. But these guys, when you're riding at your level, that 1% is all it takes to make that difference, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
pretty
you
wild.
can't, you can't stop at development, right? Like, um, you know, I really think that Chase's bike and Chase is probably better than what you saw at Fox. Just it takes a minute to get your outdoor legs under you, and I think he'll be better as the season goes. I mean, we'll see what happens, but as far as development is concerned, like I really think you got to continue to push the 8 ball. You got to continue to try to make improvements, because if you don't, there's lost opportunity there, and you always can go back. It's if you
Right.
get so lost, you can always go back to what you know, which could happen. But I think you have to try at least.
Yeah, kind of going with that, you mentioned that Jett had a little extra preparation going in, and Chase might be a little bit behind. So obviously he's going to continue to get better. But what are your predictions for the season between these two? Do you think anything's going to happen? One's going to dominate, or is it going to be neck and
Oh
neck?
no, I think they're 1-2-2-1 Tomac, like just like last year.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, Fox Raceway has always been good for our bike. I mean, Chase got his first win there. Um, Jett, I think, might have gotten one of his first wins there in a 250. Like it's just I don't know why, like what the deal is, but we've had really good success there. So I don't want to count on the way they beat Ferrandez. He's 44 seconds behind that second moto. I don't think that that's going to happen every week. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the other guys are probably going to get better. Um, and be closer. But I still think those two are going to be, one of them's going to be better one weekend, one of them's going to be better the next, and there'll be tracks that suit each of them and each of their bikes. I mean, their bikes are pretty dramatically different, so I think it's going to be neck and neck. I think it's going to be really fun, and thankfully things stayed really good at the truck this past weekend. I hope that continues to be the case all summer long, because I think it's going to be a tight race.
Have you ever had a teammate or been on a team where you just were friction with your teammate the whole season, whether it's because personality wise or you just locked in a championship battle?
Yeah, I think in the Geico days we had so many teammates, so that just you're competing for attention at that point with so many riders, so that gets to be difficult. Barsha and I, we had friction a little bit. We kind of buried the hatchet and ended up by the end of it, things were cool. But no one I was really racing for a championship at this level. Like you're the two favorites. Um, so I guess I did have that with Josh Grant my very first year, but I was so young. I didn't know. I was
Well,
super naive, just kind of doing my thing.
I'm trying to remember who said this, but I heard somebody do an interview and they said, even if you had a bad day, let's say you got 10th overall, if you were on a team, you're like, well, I got 10th, but I beat everybody else on my team, so I did okay. Like that was like his mentality. It's like if I sucked, I still at least have to beat the other guys on my team.
For sure. You definitely want to be the top dog. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with attention. Just um, it's just hard to give a lot of guys attention. So I see that from this side now. But unfortunately, the kind of the best couple guys, the best few guys get the most attention from everyone, because the team wants to have the most success. Um, so yeah, I think that's probably part of it. But for me, even if I'd finished the best, if I got 10th, I was still pretty bummed.
Sure. Well, okay, here's my next question. Kind of talking about this whole team. What's the word I'm looking for? dynamic, right? So Chase Sexton, they were talking about, just got his own RV. So now when they're at the races, it's like these guys are on a team, but they're not at the same time because they're doing their own thing. And I just wonder, like, do we need to do something to make it feel like more of a team sport? Where do we need to have some sort of point system for the manufacturer, for HRC versus Kawasaki, to make it feel like these guys are like in it together and not just each guy out for his own? I don't know, because that's just the vibe I get. I've even seen at Motocross of Nations where the USA team aren't even under the same rig. They're in their own separate tents during the day. I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know, like, it's you're on the same team, but at the same time it's so individual. Do you think that's just the way it's going to be?
Probably so. I mean, our career spans are so short, that you have to maximize yours, but yeah, I mean, I totally see your point, but I think if you can have the perspective of the team, I think you're better off as an individual too. Because traditionally there's like an A guy and a B guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can have two A guys, you're looking at top level development on both ends, right? So you're getting the kind of development that kind of double of what you could do with someone else. And so if you can kind of put your ego aside and go, hey, we're helping each other, and that's hey, if it's between us two out front, cool, every man for himself, but we want to see each bike up front. I think you're better off because you're going to be pulling in the same direction in a way that is going to make the whole team better, and in turn is going to make you better. So I think a manufacturer's point system would be awesome, and we'd love that at Honda right now. I mean, we've had a great year, so it would be really cool. But I think it's going to be hard to sell that to the riders because you've only got so much time to make money, create your own kind of brand.
Right.
And so, that it's hard to, when you're in that, to take a step back and think about what's best for the team, what's best for everyone around you.
Gotcha.
So speaking of the team, you've been on here for Fantasy SX, and we know you've done, or obviously you're doing stuff with development for Honda. So what, I guess I can't even ask what kind of things you're developing, but what kind of different setup or what, I'm trying to think how to say this. How many things have you been working on that are on Chase or Jett's bike right now? Or like, how do things get filtered through?
Yeah, so it's I think the last few years has been an evolution of our current platform. Japan, the Japanese kind of theory is sometimes a little bit slower. But they've probably hit the marks pretty well. So I guess to say, I mean, it's been kind of a culmination of what we wanted to improve the last few years. So especially in Supercross this year, we had big kind of asks, and I'd say they came through. We still have issues that we want to work through for next year, but I think it's just been an evolution, whether it's clamps or chassis or suspension. It's all been this kind of building on what we had the first year of the 21. So Chase has kind of gone a little bit of a different direction with a BFRC shock, which
Tim Geiser was running, right? That's where he got the
yeah,
idea.
Tim, a lot of the Europe guys, Anderson was on it for a minute. I think it probably suits him probably better than anybody. So that's been kind of a different direction for the team, but also I think it's probably helped us learn a few things as well. So probably the biggest thing that we've done is we've been working a lot with chassis rigidity, and that seems to be a really big improvement for us. So and I think moving forward, working on the the next generation of this bike, we'll keep kind of going that way and learning more, and being involved in the production side as well has been a lot of fun. Thinking about the next 2-3 years down the line, we've learned a lot, and that's all kind of funneling into hopefully a even better motorcycle here in a few years.
Does your feedback make it to Japan, or are you get the final product and say, hey, this is what we have, and then you're trying to set it up for, like, where is your role, or where do you fit in that streamline?
As far as the production development, or
are they sending you pre-production saying, hey, we want to know what you think? Do you say you need to make the chassis stiffer, or the suspension's too stiff here, whatever it is? Does that information get back to Japan? Like, or is there just an American market that you're trying to set up for? How does that work?
A little bit of both. Like, for instance, last year we did something called a direction test, which is kind of like our current bike, a little bit Frankensteined up for theory. You test theory, and then they can move to kind of the pre-prototype stuff. So I would say even when you're doing the suspension testing and the FI maps kind of at the end, you're still giving the feedback for future development. But some of the tests are really geared towards what's going to happen and you're really kind of investing in having input on what's going to happen for the chassis, everything from Japan. And then kind of towards the end, the information's still getting to Japan. They're still taking it. They're still using it. But you're pretty limited as far as what you can change at certain points. So,
right.
At the end, you're kind of just doing suspension settings and FI settings. Especially with if they're not doing a completely new platform, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I mean, they're like 4 years out on a new chassis. Like when the 2021 Honda came out, I don't think people realize this. Japan already has the next generation chassis probably built that they're already testing, right?
They're always, it's so far ahead that it's a little bit mind-boggling. But that's just kind of how it has to be if you want to put a new motorcycle out every 4 years, with tooling, and you don't think about the fact that they have to purchase, 10,000 sets of spring rates,
right.
And they've got to do that at a certain point in time. And so it's opened my eyes to a lot as far as, production bikes and all that, but it's been an interesting process.
So I have to ask this. I know some people might not want to know, but a couple of years ago we saw that electric prototype, and then it seems like we never heard anything again. Have you been testing stuff with that, or is that ever going to be a thing?
Have you ridden a Honda electric bike before, Trey?
Man,
the mustache must be truthful.
I plead the fifth. No, I obviously can't talk about all that too much. We sign NDAs, so I can't give away too much. But I think it is in the future as far as the whole sport's concerned. And I think if you see Honda put something out, I think it's going to start happening in Japan across the manufacturers pretty quick. So. I can't talk about it too much, but I think it's coming soon as far as that type of bike. So
let me ask an opinion-based question. Would you like to see something like that? Do you like the gas bikes? Do you like just electric bikes in general, the feel of them?
Yeah, I think it's got a time and a place, right? Like, I like what F1 is doing with Formula E. I think that's awesome. I think that could provide more opportunity for maybe other guys to have some sort of factory support and still, do well on a bike. But I hope it's not going to, really go completely electric for a while. I'm going to need some transition time with that, but I do think it's great. I think that they do serve a purpose. Like, just to think, if I'm in a pretty close area, I don't have to worry about noise, those types of things, that I can just hop on and ride. I don't have to worry about certain things. For me, that's really cool, and I think it could probably help grow motorcycling in a way.
But on the flip side,
technology is really exciting, But it's going to be hard to, to beat what we all know of combustion engines. Even on the automotive side, I don't know how all that's going to work, but I think, the push of technology is really cool. And, I think it could be a cool part of our sport. I just not sure I'm ready for it to take over.
How about an e-bike race on Fridays before the National? I'd be down to watch that. Just do it the day before.
There you go.
They get
Yeah,
there.
even like I don't know. I guess my only example, I guess, is Formula E. It's like its own little development kind of league. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of cool.
I am
Yeah.
bummed that they got rid of the 125 Dream Race series before the Nationals. I don't know why. I feel like that was a huge hit. I think people loved it. But they're not doing it anymore. Hey, when you were riding for Red Bull KTM, did you ever ride a 350?
I never rode one when I was riding for KTM. I rode one the year that I was kind of not doing much. Actually, the first bike that I rode was a 350. I just had a friend. I was actually at an FCA camp in Minnesota. The track was epic, and I hadn't ridden in 8 months. I had some back surgeries and things. I got to this track. It was like a golf course, like looked perfect. I had Max at Fly send me some gear, and that's the bike I had to ride. So it was cool. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Would you like to see the Japanese make a 350?
I think it'd be great. Yeah, I think probably the technology is headed towards like I'm thinking the interest in probably the funding is going towards electric, but I think it'd be great. I mean, I love 450s. I can ride them well. I think a 350 would be kind of like the perfect bike especially for your average kind of rider. But I don't think anyone's ever gonna do it unless they all do it. Because there's just kind of that gray area where, if there's no market for it, it's a lot of money to dump in it, something just to let it go stale.
Right. Hey,
What-
okay. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a lot of the average off-road riders, they like the 350s, the 300 two-strokes, which I know Honda's not making a two-stroke. And
Yeah, the Japanese, I feel like they just kind of stay in their lane. I don't know. It's just very traditional, and who knows?
Don't want to step back in time.
Oh, for like two strokes?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Trey, did you ever?
Anyway.
Yeah, you rode minis on two strokes, but that's about it. Hey, all right. We're going to wrap this thing up here, but we want to talk about one final thing. So when we rode in Oregon, we were at the Honda intro. We played some golf together. Had good times there. Phenomenal place to go
He's
play
like,
some
I
golf.
don't remember, dude.
That was awesome.
But we
But
can't talk about my golf game, man. It's bad.
we won't talk about. Okay, you're making up for the mustache, but
Yeah, just remember, I have a spinal fusion, so I just can't twist.
so Charles brought up a good point because we were watching some of your goon riding, which somehow you just become iconic for that. But have you ever been goon riding and had a crap moment and was like, I better back this down a little bit? Have you ever almost crashed your brains out goon riding?
Dude, I had this conversation with one of my friends not long ago. I was like, the thing that makes a good goon ride is that moment, It's like not totally on purpose. You're kind of on purpose, but you kind of go like, oh, dude, that could have got ugly quick. Like, so you kind of want those moments, because that's what makes it hilarious.
Yeah.
I saw him do some rocket airs over this jump in Oregon. That was a pretty good sized table. And I just remember thinking up like, one of these days he's not going to save it and it's going to be a bad ending.
So I looped out at a Honda intro one year. It was a track called Zaka Station. And I didn't even mean to. Like, I was just kind of riding, and the jump was double lipped, and I missed the second lip with my back tire and just fully looped out. And everyone was like, it finally got to you. I was like, no, this time I wasn't goon riding. This was just me.
Have you ever filled in for Ronnie Mack?
Never.
Oh.
No, I get that all the time.
Ronnie Mack does the endos. That's where I won't mess around with. He does the endos. Those are life threatening.
And they're not just your everyday average endo either, man.
It's like kill the average man.
Yes, that's the best way to say
It looks like me every weekend. I don't know what you guys are scared about.
Hey, Trey, we all want to know, and this is good. This is a question that I've told you, Christian, who has been on the show, is your biggest fan. If something, okay, we're not going to jinx anything, but if Honda made the call, said, Trey, we want you to step up and ride a 450 for some rounds in outdoors, would you do it? Do you miss racing? Have you wanted to do the Dungey thing? Have you ever said, I just want to come back? And then you're like, wait, let me rethink this. But do you still have that itch?
I think it's getting less and less and less. In the beginning, for sure. Like, I had an opportunity to fill in for Cole Seeley my first year testing, and I was still riding, pretty on pace, and think I could have done pretty well. But basically, what my wife and I were talking about was it's going to be over at some point, So the for me, like, the thing that I didn't do, I didn't win a 450 championship, and to think that I would do that is probably pretty slim, So for me, it would, if I were to do it, it would just be for fun, and as the racer that I am, it's hard for me to turn that switch off. So I see blood in the water, and I go, and which was great for me in some scenarios, not so great in others. So for me, the risk versus reward is not there. So it's probably not going to happen as far as racing an American Supercross or motocross championship.
Fair enough.
I like the way he said that. Racing an American.
Oh.
Motocross or Supercross.
Fair enough. Well, okay. Before we let you go, we were just talking about this. I feel like, and this could be a yes or no, I feel like Chase this weekend, as far as the championship goes, really needs to make a statement early and not let Jett did what he did last weekend, right? How do you feel on that?
I think it's still early. In any championship, if you can be midway point in it still, I think you got a chance, because it's hard. It's really hard to sustain that level of performance over 11 rounds. And so if you can kind of stay level-headed about it and know you're going to have some off weekends and just stay even keel. I mean, for both of them, that's what I hope for both of those guys, is that they can stay even about it and really go race to race. I know that's like a pretty standard PR answer, but that really is my true, honest answer. Is a lot of guys can do well and exceed in certain rounds, but being able to do that over the long haul, that's really, being a guy that had these standout rounds, these standout races, and never was able to put the whole season together on the 450 class. And so that's my emphasis a lot of times with these guys is, hey, let's stay even. We got to think about August here. August, September, SMX. So I think that being that they seem to be the standout right now, if they can just stay 1-2, I think they've got both of them have a great shot of, once we get to that end point of the series, if they're not too far apart, it's kind of any man's game, I think.
Cool. All right. Well, look, Trey Canard, everybody, we want to say thank you so much for calling in for the show. One of my favorite riders.
Same.
Everyone do yourself a favor. Go watch Millville with Trey Canard versus James Stewart. It's one of my favorite highlights to watch. Those dudes just battled it out. Literally, it was a Sexton Lawrence replay at Millville. And so, Trey, we love you. Thank you so much for taking time to call in. And best of luck with everything that you got going on. And we hope to talk to you very soon.
See you later.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate the time.
Okay, we'll see ya.
All right, see ya.
It's for you, Christian. What a good dude.
Such a good dude.
Such a good dude.
Seriously, though.
All right, that being said, let's get back into it here. Everybody, big shout out to Trey Canard. All right, Chase Sexton. So, like I said, he had the fastest lap in Moto2. He went 2-2 in Hangtown last year. I'm going to pick Chase to win just because first round's out of the way. He had that crash in qualifying, so I feel like he's going to regroup. He's going to be better at Hangtown. So yeah, I will pick him to win just because like Trey was saying, to maintain that going 1-1 every single round. Like we saw it last year with Tomac and Sexton. It was really hard for those guys to go 1-1 every weekend. It was always like 1-2, 2-1. So that's why I picked Chase, just because the odds of just dominating each moto, I think, is slim to none for those two.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Chuck?
As much as I hate to agree with you, I think Chase he might not be going 1-1 this weekend, but I think he's getting the overall.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've got Chase out in front. And then number 2, I've got Jett. I mean, that's the obvious choice.
Right.
Those guys are so dominant. Then third place, I've got Dylan Ferrandis.
Are you just locking him in right now?
Are we not locking
We're
him in?
not locking him in yet.
Okay.
You're
Let's
getting a little
chat.
premature there.
Let's chat.
Well, look, with Lawrence, here's the crazy thing. He's now 6-0 at Fox Raceway, including 250s. Villopoto was the last rookie to go 1-1 on a 450 back in 2009. It's been a long time since a rookie did that. And let's see here. I mean, 3-1 scores in 2020 at Hangtown, so he won the overall there. Yeah. I'm going to put him second. What's everyone else doing? You guys going to put Jett first, second? We want to know. What do you do with AP? Here's the thing. Let's talk about Plessinger, because he was sneaky good. I mean, he went down, I think, twice in the first moto, but he had a faster lap and faster average lap time in Moto 2 than Ferrandis did, who got third overall. So he started 5.5, and he finished 5.4. Sorry, our stat there, that's my fault. I had a typo the first time. He finished 5.4, and he got fourth overall. So, yeah, I feel like AP is, if he can start in front of Ferrandis, because he started 5.5, which means Webb and Ferrandis were both ahead of him in both those motos.
Yep.
If he can start right there with Ferrandis, I would probably put my money on Plessinger, especially with Ferrandis not being in race shape, as he's already said.
That's true. Make a good point, and ended up passing Webb later in the moto. So
Okay. A lot of people have Jett second. Jett never crashes. That's not true. Jett has crashed plenty of times. Look at Triple Crowns and Supercross, and he had some goofy moments in outdoors. We'll have to try and find some replays, but I've definitely seen Jett have some weirdo races. All right, Dylan Ferrandis. Let's get it here. Not quite in race shape, but hey, he held on. He went 3-3. But here's the thing, though. He was a couple seconds off the pace. His best lap time in Moto 2, which is when these guys are the most tired, the track is at its worst. His best lap was 2:28.79 to Jett's 2:26.32. So he was 2 seconds off the pace of Jett and Chase in Moto 2. That's a big deal.
it is.
I mean, after 15 laps, 30 plus 2, just like we saw, you're 30 seconds back.
Yeah. 30 seconds back, but it is just going to get better from here. I think his fitness is going to get better, but it's going to take time.
But he also said that they're still trying to figure out the bike. He's not totally happy with it yet. So, yeah, I mean, really, it's between AP and Ferrandis. Whoever starts in front of the other could be the guy that gets it. So, interesting, though. Webb, he went 4.5 for 5th overall. Webb was probably my biggest surprise
Same.
of the weekend.
I didn't even expect him to be in the top 5, to be honest, which is sad. But I just figured coming back from the concussion and, not being on the bike a lot, I was like, he's probably going to take it easy, hang back, but he was going for it.
Yeah, I don't know, because, if you looked at Moto 2, those guys were hanging on to Chase and Jett for, the first 10 minutes. They were right there. And then those two, I kind of feel like Jett and Chase, by far, are the two most conditioned athletes, and I think that also has to do with how they were breaking away. It's just they could maintain that pace.
Yep.
Like AP wasn't far off, but he started in 5th, and those guys already built up a pretty good gap by the time he got around, Webb and whatnot. So, but he went 4.5 for 5th overall. Still working on his fitness, but he had the 5th fastest lap time in Moto 1 of a 2:28. So it's nothing crazy, but I didn't expect him. I don't know how about you guys feel. Charles, we were talking about this earlier. I really thought that AC was going to beat Webb easily. And that's the next guy we got to talk about here. I just wasn't. I mean, it's not bad, right? I mean, he went 6-7. Second moto, he did go down in turn 1. Came all the way back to 7th. But here's what's kind of weird. His average lap time in Moto 1 was a 2:33 to Webb's 2:30 and a Jett's 2:29. So he was several seconds off the pace.
Yeah.
And he started right there with Webb in that moto. And then second moto, he came back, but I thought he would have a little bit more for like Ferrandis. So what do you do with him this weekend? Do you put him back there outside your top 5?
I don't have him in my top 5.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I don't know if it's the arm thing. I mean, 23rd to 7th is very impressive, but I don't know if he's feeling the arm things, having him go numb or anything like that, or if maybe he doesn't have the speed of the top 5 guys.
I don't know.
What do you think?
Because he has the speed. He won a 250 outdoor title.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know. It was just surprising. I expected a little bit more. I didn't expect him to be that far off the pace and be dropped like that. But I don't know. Maybe Fox Raceway and some of these these West Coast rounds aren't like his favorite tracks. He just doesn't gel with them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably that. I guess I'm just thinking, he can win a outdoor title or has, but just right now with the things he's dealing with, maybe he doesn't have the speed.
Yeah, do you think his fitness isn't there? I mean, he raced the whole Supercross season, but I don't know. We'll have to look at his average lap times from start to the end. It's kind of interesting. More people are picking Plessinger right now over Ferrandis. Plessinger looked feisty, though. Like, he looked good. His lap times were good. I'm going to pick him ahead of Ferrandis this week. I'm going to go AP third. That's what I'm going to have on my podium. Yeah, he does crash. That's true. Pop art. It's like Pop-Tart, but pop art. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay. Here's the meat and potatoes. Wild card. It's 8th place this week. Charles, have you picked already for your wild card?
I did. So I ended up choosing Grant Harlan.
Got a lot of dudes in here. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me get some of these out. No. Okay, there's Norn, who just got 10th.
Charles, who'd you pick?
So for this week, Harlan. And let me explain why. So some of these other guys, I mean,
There's a
you've
lot
got
of dudes in here.
Yeah,
Keep
you've
going.
got several people that could finish in 8th right now, but I'm just basing this off the last race, how they did, how they're doing now. So Grant Harlan, he finished 9 and 6th. That's pretty dang close to 8th place to me. And this being a similar racetrack, similar but different, I'm hoping he finishes in that 8th place spot. And, you look at some of these other guys like Kyle Krisham,
Kyle, what? Did you say Kisham?
no.
Nick, that sounded like Kisham to me.
I heard Chisholm. I don't know.
You heard Chisholm?
Yeah.
Okay. Charles is
I'm going home. Anyway, so I can't read. Anyway, yeah, we've got people all over the map. 7th to 11th, 12th, 13th, 13th, and 9. I'm just thinking 9 and 6 sounds pretty dang close, and I'm digging that.
Okay, so you have Harlan. Well, look, here's the deal. Jerry Robbins a good pick. He went 8-14th for 11th. He started 8th in both motos. He's right there. And then you have Jose Boutron, which nobody had on their radar, but he got 7th overall. He finished one spot from where he started each moto, and he finished he finished 8th overall. And he started 9-7. And then Lorenzo Lacrucio. He went 7-11 for 9th overall. In Moto 2, he battled from 25th to 11th. Chiz went 12-13 for 12th. So Chiz isn't going to really be one of my top guys to look at. Freddie Norn, who just got 10th, he went 13-9. He started 18-6. So if he just cleans up that first start in Moto 1, he can be a top 8. And then Grant Harlan, who was honestly the biggest surprise to me, is the fact that he went 9-6 for 7th. It was his best motocross finish ever. And here's the thing. His average lap time was faster than AC in Moto 2 and only a 10th off of Webb.
That is insane.
Dude was cruising.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, though. I look at Harlan as a really good pick for 7th, and then I think, hey, who would be the next guy behind him? And looking at it that way, I would either look at Jose Butron, Jerry Robin, or Lucrucio. Those would be like my 3. I don't know. I just any one of those guys could be good. Maybe look at their qualifying. If one of those guys, I would say between Robin, Butron, Lucrucio, and Harlan, I would look at qualifying. And if one guy's just, a second above the rest, maybe pick him. But you think about it, outside of AC, you've only got 2 more riders that are going to fill that 7th and 8th place spot. And then you just got to kind of take a wild guess there. But I really feel like could be any one of those 4 guys. And also, you guys be checking, too. I don't know what the status is with Barsha. I don't know if he plans to race. Haven't seen the entry list yet. If he does ride, that might change things up for picks. Because I would pick him ahead of AC. Heck, even maybe ahead of Webb. Maybe. I don't know. First motocross race of the year could be different. He hasn't done that starting great yet that they've changed to. So lots of question marks if Justin Barsha jumps in. What would you do right now, Charles, if Barsha hopped in?
5th place.
Okay.
I still think that Webb and AP beat him as of right now.
You don't think?
I do think.
Oh, you do think?
I do think.
AP, yeah. Barsha's fit, though. I mean, he's been off the bike for a little while, so that's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I think you're right. I think 5th is good. I think him and Webb, just because from a conditioning standpoint, would probably be like interchangeable with 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right there.
Okay. All right. I mean, nothing really else to talk about there. I mean, that's all I got. Lock them in, Chuck. What do we got here? Everybody lock your picks in right now. We want to see your top 5 in the live chat, please. Well, we talked about Norn, didn't we? Did I not put his number plate up there?
We didn't talk about him.
Oh, we didn't? He went 13-9 for 10th. He got the wild card. Yeah, I said he started 18-6, and I said if he cleaned up that first start, he's right there. So we talked about him. I remember.
Okay.
Talked about him twice now.
Yeah, I ended up switching my pick on Saturday. Put him in for wild card.
Copycat. You're
I
welcome.
know.
Hey, getting the wild card
Between the
right.
2 of us, we're pretty dang good.
Getting the wild card right. I love it. I think it's making fantasy even harder this year when you have multiple riders who have never been in the top 10, who have never even been considered around that 10th place, are all now considered for 8th.
Yeah.
Like Butron, I've never heard of him. Lucrucio, I've seen Lucrucio, but like 8th place isn't a position that, but props to these guys that they're loving it.
Yeah.
Okay. Charles, you going to lock him in first? Let's see here. Cody Wilkins. Jett. Man, a lot of people have Jett to repeat. Go.
Well, we're going to get more hate. Where am I at here? Where's Sexton? I've got Sexton in first place.
Let's get rid of these guys here.
I think he's going to be fired up. And,
Chase, we
do
did
really
a poll
well.
too, just so you know.
We did a poll for what?
Are you putting Jett P1 in your picks next week?
And how did it do?
And we got 35% no and 64% yes.
Wow. I mean, his starts were so good. That second moto, he had over a bike length. How the freak do you do that? All right.
Skill.
Man, a lot of Jetts in here. Chase, Jett, Francis, Plessing, Webb, Harlan for the wild card. I'm starting to think Freddie Noren's going to be your 8th place guy. If he doesn't get that bad start in Moto 1, he's up there. But he is on that Suzuki, and if he stalls it, it's going to be a bad day. What are you doing here? You got Harlan?
My guys up.
But you got Harlan in first place. Are you struggle
Hold
bussing?
Backwards here.
Yeah, you are. Okay, there's Sexton, Jett.
Fernandez in third place. I think he's going to do the same thing. And then, believe it or not, I actually have Webb. Despite everything we just said, I think he's just going to keep getting better and better and
Okay.
get his fitness up there. So, got him in 4th, AP in 5th, and then Grant Harlan, wild card, right
Okay.
over here.
I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go same thing here, but you know what? I'm gonna do this. I think Plessinger this week is going to get the best of Ferrandis. I'll put Webb for 5th, and then I'm going to actually swap out Noren for Harlan there as my wild card. So that's who I got. I don't know. It's going to be a good weekend racing. I'm excited for it. Oh, and it's going to be hot. It's going to be in the 90s. That plays a big factor on the riders that aren't in condition.
Oh, for sure.
Which is Dylan Ferrandis and Cooper Webb. And they've both admitted they're not in race shape. So you can't change it now, dude. You already made up your mind. That's why AP is a better
I still
pick for
think he's
third.
going to do it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bigger and better every week.
All right. Well, that being said, hey, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in live. Let's remember the Discord. We got to share some memes real quick before we let everyone go. Nick, our man. Yeah. Kind of. He still looks like he's not trying. Didn't you say that he said in an interview that he had to try really hard to not ride 100%? Who said that?
I think it was me. I can't remember.
Jett did an interview, and he literally said, it was one of the guys that we work with here. He said, Jett said, I had to really try hard to just ride at 75% or so around the track to go faster.
Keep it smooth.
Keep it smooth. All right, what do we got next? I mean, it's kind of right.
On the boat.
Tomac, I saw he's just in Arizona at a water park hanging out. Growing up in Southern California, have a famous dad from the sport.
This one's personal, man.
Ride the same main track for years. Is that Deegan?
Goes down.
That's Deegan.
Yep.
Hey.
That was pretty amazing what he did, though.
He got third overall.
Was it third overall?
No, second.
Second overall?
He got
thought it was
second overall.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
amazing.
more hate that can be given out. And of course they're going to talk about Hayden. He's a rookie. He's Brian Deegan's kid, but he's backing it up.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, and you saw that crash last summer, and then for him to get second overall opener, it's amazing.
I think he's going to win one of these things.
Oh, yeah.
That kid is on a high right now of confidence.
Yep.
So I predict that Hayden Deegan is probably going to win an overall in outdoors this year. All right.
I would agree.
What do we got next, Nick? Yeah.
This one's not Deegan slander. It's just announcer slander.
I love James Stewart, though. What does he say? Like,
he's got a nickname for everybody.
He's got a name. I know. He's got a nickname for everybody, but he's like, I smell. What's that? Far East Coast for Shimoda?
Yeah.
What did he say about Danger Boy Deegan? He's like, I smell trouble, or I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Danger. Danger's coming. I don't know. James cracks me up in the booth. All right, what else we got? Yeah. Did he have that watch on post race? Like, was that
He did.
on the
He
podium?
I saw him
He's
hand
got a
it.
watch sponsor.
Right after he got off the box, he handed the watch to somebody. So yeah,
So he slaps it on, just takes it off.
I don't know.
Hey, you know what? They're paying him to do it, so sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice, though.
Can't even see what brand. So
It's probably a lot of money, though.
yeah,
Gosh, that
It's
kid's
out of my
marketing.
budget.
Yeah, watch is definitely out of my budget. All right, well, that being said, thank you, everybody. Remember, the link to the Discord is down below, so go there. That is where we upload the memes. We have the general chat on Saturdays. A lot of smack talk going in there. You can share your picks. You can look at stats, all the good stuff. So please join the Discord if you haven't already. If this is your first time watching the show, we want to say thank you for joining us. Go to rmfantasymx.com. It's free to play. You just make your top 5 picks like we just talked about. There's a wild card. That's why Charles and I are here, to give you stats to help you make your picks. And then you watch the races, and it makes it 10 times more exciting because you're cheering for riders that you wouldn't normally cheer for, and you're more concerned about 4th place than you are most times for who's out in front or 2nd place.
Yep.
So it just makes it fun.
Makes it fun. Free prizes.
Yeah, Nick,
How can
one
you
more time,
complain?
throw up the weekly prizes for us so we can see one more time. Again, TLD, please support the brands that support fantasy. We got TLD, Fast Company, Fastway, Rhino Power, Acherbys, MSR, Cypress, Scott, Torque One, and Tusk. And then, of course, you can go to the rmfantasymx.com website anytime. You can see the grand prizes, the weekly prizes, the overall leaderboard shows who's at the top so far in the season with overall points. The weekly leaderboard shows who won a weekly prize the round previous. And, of course, if you guys don't know, there are groups. So join the RM Fantasy MXperts group that Charles and I are in. So if you want to see how you're stacking up to us, everyone playing there, you can create your own groups. You can have them password locked, so only those that you want can be in that group. You can have open to the public. You can close it anytime during the year so nobody else can join. So, yes, please create groups. Bench race, have a blast, share this video, share fantasy with people that don't maybe know what's going on right now.
Yep. And last thing I want to mention, did you already mention reminders? So you don't
The calendar?
Yeah, calendar. There we
Yeah,
go.
I saw some people in here comment they didn't get their picks in, so yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that.
No, it's
You
embarrassing.
get rollovers, but you can't win a weekly prize if you have rollover picks. Just FYI.
And all your friends are going to make fun of you in your group.
Yeah, so even if you don't want to change your picks, you want to keep them the same, you still need to change them and update them to be eligible for the weekly prize. So don't forget that.
Yep.
All right, everybody, that's it. That's all we got for today. Thank you for joining us. Have an absolute blast watching the races this weekend. We will check back in. Oh, just one last reminder. We're just doing the Thursday show for the outdoor season, so we will check back next Thursday to talk about Thunder Valley.